morning, class. How are you all today?
We're good, miss.
Yes, we are doing okay, Miss.
Alhamdulillah, that's good then. So, in today's lesson, I wanted us to discuss a bit about the work cultures here in Indonesia and also in a few of your dream countries. So, do each of you have a dream country?
Oh, my dream country. Okay,
Yes.
yeah. My dream country is Malaysia.
Okay.
Dah.
Mine is South Korea, miss.
Mine is Japan.
Interesting choices.
What about you, Miss? What your dream country?
Mine's Australia.
So what are we going to discuss today, miss?
Well, I want each of you to share a couple similarities and differences between the work cultures in Indonesia and your dream country. So after lunch, we'll get straight into it, okay?
Okay, miss.
Okay, Miss.
Okay, Miss.
Welcome back, class. So like I said before, we'll jump straight into it. Maybe each of you can share two differences and two similarities. Who'd like to go first?
I will go first, Miss.
Okay, Farhan, go ahead.
So, I'll start with a few differences between the work culture in Indonesia and Japan. First of all, most Indonesians go to work by private vehicles, which is why there is a lot of traffic in Indonesia. But in Japan, most people travel to work by train because parking is pretty expensive in Japan. So unless you are rich, you would normally take the subway to work. Another difference is that in Indonesia, sleeping at work is not only embarrassing, but it might even cost one's job. Meanwhile, in Japan, sleeping in the office is common and is socially accepted. It's actually seen as a sign of diligence, as in the person is so dedicated to their job that they work themselves to exhaustion. Japan is one of the most sleep-deprived nations in the world, and most employees fall asleep during work, in parks, in coffee shops, in bookstores, in shopping malls, and other places.
Oh, wow, okay. Those are some pretty interesting differences. And what about the similarities?
For the similarities, both countries are very strict on addressing their seniors, where the Indonesian and Japanese know about the importance of their superior and are used to addressing them by suitable title. Another similarity is that both Indonesia and Japan get holiday off from work on New Year's and Christmas. I think that's all, Miss.
I see. Thank you then, Farhan. Who would like to go next?
I'll go next, miss.
Okay, Farah, go ahead. You can start with the differences first.
So my dream country is actually South Korea, and one of the key differences between the work cultures of this country and Indonesia is that South Koreans have a fast work rhythm. Korean society has been trained from an early age to do various tasks with a short rhythm. You do this by making enough targets in a short completion time. By playing this method, eventually workers are encouraged to focus on work and finish it faster because deadlines are being chased. Whereas in Indonesia, the system is only implemented for a few. Companies that actually operate in certain fields such as marketing, accountants, and several others. This is because many believe that a good process without rushing will give much better results. So the work rhythm here tends to be slower. Also, punctuality between Indonesia and South Korea is very different. Koreans are known for their discipline, including time discipline. They really value time and time to, don't want time to be lost. The company will generally enforce fairly strict rules and all employees must comply with one of them during working time. There's no reason for them to be late in the office or meeting unless there's an urgent reason. On the other hand, in Indonesia, there are still many employees who violate these rules by arriving late, leaving early, and sometimes even skipping work. But this is an old habit. Indonesia is currently making maximum effort to become more disciplined in time so that it is able to complete work more effectively and efficiently.
Wow, Farah, I didn't know that. But there are some similarities between the work culture in Indonesia and South Korea, right?
Of course, one thing that these two countries have in common is that ethics in speaking to other people, especially at work, is very much upheld. In Indonesia, people revere to their elders as older brothers, and in Korea, they call them yung for men or uni for women. Although South Korea and Indonesia differ in regions within the Asian continent, both countries have quite similar ethical systems. Another similarity is that South Korean they promote tourist attraction with various Korean films and dramas. Likewise with Indonesia, the Indonesian minister is currently promoting the film producers in Hollywood to make films in Indonesia and has received a very good response.
That's cool, Farah. Which country would you prefer to work in?
I prefer to work in South Korea to be honest.
I see. Well, thank you for sharing that with us, Farah. I think that just leaves Firdaus left. Would you like to go next?
Sure, Miss. So my dream country is Malaysia. One of different in culture here in Indonesia is working schedule. Indonesia based on Article number 44 of Law 13 of 2003 on employment as Article 70 to 85 about labor law. Working hour in Indonesia will last around 7 to 8 hours. Beyond this, anytime will consider overtime and which will vary according. In comparison to Malaysia, Act define work week as 48 hours per week. It also states there to be maximum work at working per hour per day and 6 working day per week. Certain protection guarantee women who work in either industry or aggregation sector. They are not permitted to work between hour 10 p.m. and 5 a.m. Other difference will be break. Employee break is tend to be shorter than in those Indonesia. Some companies, however, permit their employee put the break later to afternoon. Aviation break duration in Indonesia tend to be longer than those Malaysia because in Indonesia believe longer break ultimately increase productivity at level of employment thus company as well.
And what about their similarities?
Hmm. One of them is quite similar to you, Farhan, where both countries get holiday off during special religious day like Christmas or Bakro Eid. And one of last similarity is professional at work. Both Indonesia and Malaysia employee must be professional during work hours. Regardless of situation, they must be helpful, friendly. They are a best of what pursuit all time. They are for me. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Firdaus. Wow, all your dream countries sound so fascinating.
What about you, Miss? Could you also share a few differences and similarities?
Oh, sure. So, my dream country is actually Australia, and a key difference in the work culture here and the work culture in Indonesia would be their way of communication. So, most Indonesians have subtle and indirect communication styles. They tend to say something different from what they originally meant to be polite. So, Indonesians, they also tend to be less confrontational when communicating a problem. whereas Australians are quite direct when communicating and are very clear cut and convey things straight to the point in their business communication. They're also really intimidated by others' status of importance, and they speak plainly when conveying their ideas. Another big difference between the work cultures is the dress code. The recommended dress code for attending business meetings in Indonesia is mostly office attire, which most commonly long sleeve batik shirts and long pants. With Indonesia mostly consisting of Muslim citizens, this translates into Indonesian culture placing particular emphasis on a modest appearance. So that means no shorts for men and no revealing clothes for women, who should avoid exposing their shoulders, legs, and also cleavage. On the other hand, there aren't many Muslims in Australia, so the dress code there is a lot more revealing or casual. Most Australian workers consider the dress code of their current workplace to be ideal for them, and the most common work attire in Australia is mostly uniforms and smart casual, such as sports jacket with jeans for men or slacks, skirt or dark jeans with a collared or dressy top for women.
And the similarities, Miss?
When talking about similarities, one of them is that the workplace culture in both Indonesia and Australia is subject to a lot of rules and regulations. So these exist to ensure everyone is safe and comfortable in their workplace. For example, there are very strict anti discrimination and office behavior laws. Other than that, in both Indonesia and Australia, companies and industries usually take their employees to different outings at certain times. These workers are taken to recreational places with the company's transportations. This work culture shows how companies try to pay back for what their workers have done for them. And it's also another way of strengthening relationships between the workers. And yes, that's about it.
Working in Australia sounds a lot better than working in Indonesia, Miss.
I also agree. But both countries has its positives and negatives, so we can talk about that another time. Anyways, class, I'd like to thank all of you for taking the time to share so much information today. Hopefully all of us can learn more about the work cultures in our dream countries.
Thank you, Miss.
Thanks a lot, Miss.
Yes, thank you, Miss.
You're welcome. I think our class ends here today. I'll see all of you tomorrow, okay? Assalamualaikum, everyone.
Waalaikumsalam, Miss.
Waalaikumsalam, Miss.
Waalaikumsalam, Miss.